The history of the most popular sport in the world is incredible. Centuries have passed since the introduction of the sport we now call soccer, or football, or whatever you want to call it. And in that time, history has been made. We all know some of the more memorable moments like Diego Maradona's infamous handball, and we know some of the more heartbreaking moments like the Hillsborough tragedy. But what we don't know are some of the more bizarre and unusual stories. Like anything that has history, soccer has some of the most bizarre and humorous stories around. Stories that'll leave you shaking your head in disbelief. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today, we'll be looking at the stories you didn't know about football players. Yeah, you heard it right. So, let's start our video. All fogged up, Arsenal played a friendly against Dynamo Moscow in heavy fog in 1945 at White Hart Lane, and despite the urging of players to suspend play due to the fog, the referee decided that play should continue. The fog was so thick that the game turned into an absolute farce, with both sides playing by their own rules and suffering their bad luck because of the inclement weather. Moscow at one point made a substitution but didn't take a player off, with fans watching the match believing that the Russian club had up to 15 players on the pitch at one time. Arsenal also made the best of its conditions, with one of their players who had earlier been sent off sneaking back onto the pitch and playing the remainder of the game. However, they did suffer some bad luck, with their goalkeeper knocking himself out cold after running into the goalpost, which of course you cannot see due to the fog. A spectator reportedly took his place in goal and the match continued. Give me that vegetable! Only a few of the stories to feature on this list take place in the past decade or so, but we have a special place here for the faithful fans at Stamford Bridge, home ground of Chelsea. You might not know it about the West London club, but Chelsea fans have been bringing celery to the bridge for decades now, most likely in order to pay homage to their chant, "Celery," warning, inappropriate language. However, according to a club statement from 2007, the Blues have reminded fans that bringing celery to the ground is in fact outlawed, and that any fan caught bringing the dangerous vegetable to the ground could face a lifetime ban from the Blues' home ground. Nothing like a Merseyside derby. Nowadays, Everton and Liverpool form one of the strongest rivalries in the league, with the Merseyside derbies highlighted on every football fan's calendar, with Goodison Park, Everton's home ground, just around the corner from Anfield Road, Liverpool's home ground. The two clubs have grown in their hatred and disposition for the other, with the desire to beat the rival, one of their biggest goals at the start of the season. However, what you might not have known about the two clubs is that before the rivalry had existed, Everton's home ground was in fact Anfield Road, the very ground that Liverpool now call their home and one of the tougher places to travel to in world football. According to the Everton's official website, the land at Anfield Road was leased to the club during the late 1800s by the Earl brothers, who were local brewers. The Toffees would play their first game at Anfield against Earlstown on September 27, 1884, and would play their first football league match as a professional club on September 8, 1888. Liverpool, of course, would not be founded for another 4 years after that date. Everton would leave Anfield Road on January 25, 1892, opting to move to the north side of Stanley Park, to the ground in an area now known as Goodison Park. Liverpool, who wanted to be called Everton Athletic at the time, would then claim Anfield Road as their home ground. So yes, Everton was in fact at Anfield before Liverpool. Perhaps we just call it a draw. Postponed matches in the English Premier League and FA Cup aren't that unusual, but consider for a moment just how many times the match between Lincoln City and Coventry City was postponed because of a bad winter in the season of 1962 and 63. Due to play each other on January 5th, 1963, the fixture between Lincoln City and Coventry was called off in inclement weather and scheduled for a few days' time. Then it was called off again and again and again. The fixture was called off for a total of 15 times before the match was finally played, chalking up 66 days before the start of the round and the end of the round. Coventry City eventually beat Lincoln City 5-1 on March 6th. Somebody has to miss soon. Your knowledge about 4th Division Argentinian soccer might not be as high as some other leagues in the world, so why don't we take a look back through the history of the South American nation? We'll stop in the 2009-2010 season, where we find a match between Juventud Alianza and General Paz Juniors in the qualifying round of the Apertura for the round of final at the end of the season. Can't quite remember what happened? Quite okay. After tying their two legs on a 3-3 aggregate, the two clubs headed to a penalty shootout to decide who would progress through to the next round of competition. Pretty normal still. What would transpire is the highest score ever recorded in a penalty shootout, with Juniors winning on the night 21-20 in the penalty shootout. Perhaps even more amazing than that is the fact that there was only one missed penalty, the final penalty for Alianza by Ruiz, who had his penalty saved by the goalkeeper. Up until that point, all 40 penalty attempts had been scored by the penalty takers. Heartbreaking for Juventud Alianza goalkeeper Gonzalez, who failed to stop any of the 21 penalties that he had coming his way throughout the shootout. And that's all for today's video. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope that you found this video interesting, and if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. See you in the following video with some more of the latest updates, and until then, stay tuned.